the third act really was the poop stain on the white sheet.
Yeah.
Because but I love talking poop, you know me.
Pizza time. Pizza time. Pizza time.
You like pizza time?
Pizza time.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Pizza Time Nerdcast. I'm Alex, that is Ed. We're your hosts as usual, and today we're talking about the one thing that came out this past weekend, and that is The Batman. We are talking Robert Pattinson and his first take and his first turn and run as the Batman. Matt Reeves directed the movie. It came out this past weekend. It came out to a huge response. The movie has from Thursday through Monday, the movie has scored $134 million opening in the US. That is the second best domestic debut of the pandemic era, even though I think we're like ending the pandemic. Huge. Since Spider-Man No Way Home. Obviously, maybe it catches Spider-Man No Way Home. I don't think it does.
Maybe. I don't think so. I don't think so, but
maybe. But on
it
top
made a
of
case.
That,
it made a case for itself.
Worldwide, going even bigger, it made $254 million this weekend, its first weekend. That is a fantastic debut. It currently sits at 85% certified fresh on the tomato meter with a 90% audience score. And people loved it. And we're gonna talk about it. We're gonna break it down. We're gonna give each other thoughts. We haven't talked about the film yet. Ed's seen it like 4 days ago. I saw it 3 days ago. And yes, we're gonna jump right in. I'm gonna let Ed go first, and he's gonna give me your quick thoughts before we dive too deep, and then I'll give you mine. So
first of all, before I get into my own thing, the opening weekend, man, that's nuts. Those numbers, yes. I wasn't even. Yes. It exceeded what I thought the opening numbers would be, and
movies are back.
Movies are back. That's really what I was trying to get at. You're right. That's exactly what I was trying to get at. Is that movies are back. Batman's great, but also movies are fucking back. I went to an IMAX screening on Wednesday for this, and it was packed. Absolutely packed at 3 p.m. on a weekday.
I went to a screening Saturday morning, hoping I would miss the crowd. Yeah. Because everything I looked for on Friday night was packed.
Yeah.
Everything.
Sold out.
Everything sold out. There was a few seats here and there, but they're front of the theater. And I was like, you know what? This is a 3-hour movie. I want to be pretty comfortable while I watch this. So I went to a Saturday morning screening, and that screening was packed. Movies are back, and I love it. I mean, look, Uncharted's made $222 million already.
Yeah.
And
that's just Uncharted, right? That wasn't. I wouldn't say it wasn't even at the level at Batman in terms of marketing or anything like that.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
Its money back.
Yeah.
It's great. It's good to say. It's really lifted my spirits. Yeah.
Yeah. It makes me happy, and I'm glad they're back. And they know in the pandemic era, it does feel like we're getting finally to that point where it's okay. People are happy to go back out. They feel safe. Good for them. Whatever.
Yeah.
Just go see movies in theaters because a lot of people work on them. A lot of people pour their heart and souls into them, and they deserve to be watched on a big screen. And that's it.
Preach, my brother.
Yes.
Exactly. Because people really do forget just how much effort it takes to make a movie. And I think the pandemic helped a little people to understand just how difficult it is to go to so many locations, work with so many different people, being, obviously you can't work remote on a movie in terms of acting and anything. You can't do that.
Right.
It's so difficult. So I'm glad everyone seems to be coming together and coming back together and respecting the craft as much as streaming is just as high as ever too. So both avenues have proven to really, really work. So I'm just so thrilled. We have the
Adam Project coming out on Netflix this Friday. Moon Knight later this month. I'm sorry. Big month. March seems to be kicking 2022 into second gear.
It's leading us into the summer. I think, which is going to be even huger.
It's going to be really great, and streaming's getting bigger. So, and again, I know I just said a lot of people work on movies, but it take in the medium whichever way you can. If it's streaming, if it's in a theater, just take it in, try to enjoy it. And, that's why we're here, because we love to talk movies. So, yeah.
Exactly, brother. So that leads me in to my review of The Batman.
Let's get to it.
So, dude, okay. So I'll just straight up say my review. I really love the film a lot. I love the film a lot more than I thought I was going to. That being said, there are considerable flaws. That does not put it past the greats like The Dark Knight, and I would even argue maybe even Batman Begins, which I think were the top 2 Batman films to the point. But when the film is good, and it's usually when it's in atmospheric mode, when it's the visuals and just putting you into the detective Batman noir setting, it is phenomenal. And I was absolutely captivated by all of that, which conquered like the first 2 parts of the movie. My biggest flaws, which we'll get into later, were the third act. I think really fell apart, actually. There was one little cameo scene that I was not happy with. We'll get into
I love that. Okay.
And then I think the overall story narrative itself wasn't that strong, and it didn't lead to like amazing payoffs that we saw in The Dark Knight, in Nolan's Batman trilogy. So there are flaws, but when it was good, my heart was pounding. I was so sucked in, and overall, what it really accomplished was it gave us a superhero film that really isn't made and isn't typically backed. And I have to applaud WB for that, to really give Matt Reeves what he wanted to do. Kind of just like what they did with Joker, same spiel. See, so when WB lets go, it just proves that when WB lets goes a little bit, magic happens. Because they clearly aren't always the strongest in the clouds over there. So when they let the foot soldiers do what they need to do, this shit happens, and I couldn't be happier. I'm thrilled, but there are problems. So I don't think it's perfect. It's not a masterpiece like people are saying. Definitely not. So I want to rickroll that to you, because it seems like, Alex, maybe you didn't love it as much as maybe I did, or maybe the public did.
I did not love it as much as I think you did. Okay. Look, I do agree with you, and I like the one thing I do absolutely agree with you. When it works, it looks and works amazingly. And I think it's great. And I want to just start with the point that you just said. You know, a lot of people called it a masterpiece. IGN gave this a 10 out of 10. A 10 out of 10. They said it's a masterpiece. Like, IGN is notorious for giving things, you know, sometimes they give things, you know, cupcake reviews, but other times they take it seriously. Like, but they don't hand out a lot of 10 out of 10s. No. Like, you can list, and I think you can count on 2 hands how many 10 out of 10s they've actually given for films or video games.
True.
So like that's a high bar to be setting. And 10 out of 10, I think, is saying, oh, it's going to be better than The Dark Knight. It's going to be better than Batman Begins. And I completely agree with you. It is not better than those 2 films. Those 2 films are fantastic. And I think those 2, The Dark Knight is as close to a masterpiece as you can get. And I do think Batman Begins is severely underrated for the respect it gets. It's 100%. It's almost on par with as good The Dark Knight. It's like the best origin story ever told.
It's like how I feel with Spider-Man and Spider-Man 2. It's the same thing, where it's like the second one definitely is better, but goddamn, they're both so good.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely.
So like, you know, back to the Batman. Piggybacking off your when it works, it does work really good. The scenes when it does like lean into that neo-noir kind of feel, it really does work. I liked how it opened with his voiceover, and it does feel like that's an old school noir kind of thing. Absolutely. Like a private investigator telling his story through, you know, you're hearing the story told through a voiceover. It's really cool. But yeah, I think the movie, I do think the movie's too long. It fell apart. It didn't keep me entertained. Okay. I was like, hey, yo, what the fuck? Like, what? Like, after he captures the Riddler, spoiler alert, and they're sitting in the interrogation room, or sorry, he goes and Arkham. Looks. They're at Arkham. Yeah, he goes to Arkham, but before that, he's in the Riddler's apartment. And I knew, I was like, oh my god, I think there's still like 30 minutes to this film. And I was like, okay, the Alfred holding hands with Bruce, that didn't do it for me. That didn't do it for me. I was like,
I agree with you. I thought the whole Alfred storyline was pretty trite. You see Alfred, who's played by Andy Serkis, by the way, who I thought did a great job. I like Andy Serkis a lot. But he's in like probably 4 scenes or 5 scenes. It's not a lot. And that didn't work. That didn't work. That didn't stick.
Like, so like that part can be cut out because like it doesn't feel like they have a relationship at all, because like the first scene with him, Bruce is a dick to him. He says, "You're not my father."
I was so surprised how scene 1 fucking saying, "You're out, bro. You're not my dad." That's like,
that's messed up.
Okay, my bad.
So to keep it succinct so we could keep, dive into deeper parts of the movie, it didn't land as good for me. And don't get me wrong, the action scenes when they're there, they're fantastically filmed and the cinematography is beautiful, but it just feels like a chunk of this movie could have been cut out. And I got a little bored. No, I don't need more action. It just feels to me like some of these things just didn't work as well as I think they thought they did.
Sure. Absolutely.
Yeah. So I didn't love it as much as you do. I wouldn't say it was a bad film. Like, if you gave it what would you give it? A 7 out of 10?
No, I'm actually pretty strong. I'm pretty strong about it. I would actually give it out of 10.
Yeah.
I'd like 8.5 to 9.
Oh my God. I would probably give it a 6.5, 7. Like, it's a really fun, like when it works, it works. Like, I love the scenes. I love how we don't meander and talk about his origin story again. Yeah. Like we all know it. Like, let's
move past. We're good.
Let's move past it. We know it. Yeah. And it does that. And it does it really well. And I think, as we get further into the movie, it does seem like we indulge a little bit too much. Like, I feel like there's a bit of the gangster storyline that can be taken out. I feel like there's a little bit of Selena Kyle that can be taken out. I know people loved her, and I loved her too. I thought she was great. Zoë Kravitz did a fantastic job.
I agree.
And I hate saying it, but like, to keep the movie, moving, it seems like one of those two things should have been coming out a little bit. But yeah, I do see it. 6.5, 7 for me. Like, I don't think it's bad, but I don't think it's amazing.
It ain't great. And no, look, I don't blame you for that score at all. I really don't. Right. The reason why I feel like I feel so strongly about giving it that high of a score, I'm throwing it a bone in that sense, because I really was for about 2.5 hours really captivated. And I agree with you. The thing is that I want to talk about the third act, because a lot of people felt like the third act really was the poop stain on the white sheet. Yeah. Because that's from Linus Tech Tips. I stole that. That's really good. But I love talking poop. You know me. Anyway, so the third act really falls, but up until then, it's so good, and you really don't see the cracks until you realize where the movie goes, and it doesn't end. It does not go where I think you think it's gonna to go. It goes. Because the first 2.5, I would say even 2.5 hours, like most of the movie seems like it's going to pay off really, really high because of how strong everything is until that point. Yeah. But then the third act just comes, and it's right after the Batman talks with the Riddler at Arkham. He's captured, as you said, and then it just divulges into like, oh, this third act that felt very, we got to do this big for the sake of being big.
Yes.
Right? Yes. Like, it just turns into a typical superhero movie, which sucked because the rest of it just did not follow that at all. And so, suddenly the Riddler has like a cult, and then they have bombs all over the city, and they're going to drown the city. Jesus Christ. Like, where the fuck? The meter just like exploded out of nowhere. It went into third act, typical superhero mode. And that sucked because it was like, oh, I thought this was going to be a little bit more sophisticated. I thought it could have totally ended at the Riddler Arkham, the Batman interrogating the Riddler at Arkham. Like, I think it could have just ended there, and I think I would have been pretty happy. There had to be a little crescendo. We can go into our thoughts about how it could have ended, but that third act really was not good. And I think once you see where it went, you go, oh yeah, then if that's where it was going, then why did we need to spend so much time with Selena Kyle? And that gangster stuff. But until that point, I was with it. I was like, okay, I'm happy with this. But goddamn, that third act was absolute poop.
Yes.
I'm sorry. Yeah,
I
so
think
I don't blame you. That's why I don't blame you.
Yeah.
That is 7.5. I agree with that, but I'm throwing it a bone because the first 2.5 hours were so good. So, but that third act,
I think as you said it, that's kind of exactly where all my problems came with the movie, because the rest of it seemed pointless. Like up until the third act, he has this fantastic plan. Like, I'm gonna use Batman to basically kill the people I want to kill.
Doing. Exactly.
Yeah, he's gonna do my bidding. Like he says, I'm the brains, you're the muscle, you're the fear, you're vengeance. And like it works as a plan because Batman's whole thing is I'm vengeance. They fear me, they fear the night.
Yes. And yeah, exactly. And the theme, the theme for Batman I thought was good too, is that he wasn't sure if he was doing he was seeing that his vengeance plan was not really having the effect that he wanted.
He learns.
Yeah. So he wasn't sure yet.
He learns that he creates the Riddler,
and then he creates the Riddler. So it all starts snowballing, and all that really worked. Yeah, keep going.
Yeah, I think I completely agree. And as soon as that video starts playing, that hey everybody, thanks for all your support, and I was like, wait, what? And I think the third act soured me way more on the film than you, because at that point, I agree. Like we're 2.5 hours into this movie. Maybe 2:20, right? Let's see, the third act, roughly 40 minutes. Yeah, 40 minutes of the final act, right? Yeah, they pumped way too much into it. Like here's this like really kind of grounded reality kind of filled whole thing, and then all of a sudden Batman's at Arkham, which Arkham's is off the island.
Yes, right.
He's safe. It's not, and then all of a sudden he's at the fucking roof, blowing up the roof on the ground, beating all these guys up. Also, I will say some of the parts of that scene were cool, but dude, this Batman takes a fucking beating. But that's great because Batman does take a beating. Anyway,
I agree.
And you're right. Yeah, I think that's where I got soured on the film. I think that's the whole thing just kind of maybe ruined the film. Like, you're right. They felt like they had to have this big crescendo piece to end it because there was no big crescendo pieces in it. I mean, minus the Batmobile chase.
Oh, the Batmobile chase. We can get into that. But
yeah, we'll get into that. I have a controversial opinion on that. But anyway,
wow.
Yeah. So like, I think you're right. That's where I got taken out of the film, I think. And with a movie that big, you have to give a good reason to have that sort of massive set piece happen, and you didn't really have it. Like all of a sudden he's gonna blow up the city, and you're like, wait a minute, why would this guy seems like he's solely focused on just taking out these renewal plan guys all of a sudden switch and do this? Like that doesn't make any sense. Like everything had been. Go ahead.
Bro, I straight up don't know what the plan of those Riddler cultists were. I didn't get it. I wasn't understanding at all. I was like, it took a way right turn. I was like, wait, what? Why? What's their plan? Like they're gonna assassinate the mayor? Is that it? Or
and you're right.
And then what? I don't understand where that was going.
And it makes the rest of the story before then, Selina's pointless. Because hey, they all had that thing tying them together, like Falcone, the renewal plan, and Bruce and Selina, they're the same, but they're incredibly different, And then you just kind of tore it all apart and you kind of messed it up. So I completely, I agree with you.
And a lot of people did. A lot of people did. If you look across the internet for critic reviews, many people had a problem with the third act. And those same people like me are throwing it a bone and saying, well, because you know me, right? My rule is, if you give me a movie whose last act is the greatest thing, and I'm not going to watch your film. But if if your first two acts are really good and the third one's like, okay, I'll rewatch it, and I want to rewatch this movie already. I want to. I want to watch it again because those two first acts are so good. So that's why I throw it a bone. That's why I would give it like that 9 because it was just so good up until that point. It really was. It was really making a case for itself as to why this will be one of the better Batman films of all time. And I still think it is. I do. I would put it probably third.
I would still absolutely put it third.
Yeah, absolutely.
I personally hated The Dark Knight Rises. I know people really like that movie.
You hated it? I hated
The Dark Knight Rises.
Capital H on that shit? Wow.
Capital H. I thought that movie was straight trash. I was like, what the fuck's going on? I can't deal with this movie.
Oh, we gotta do a video on that.
I think Nolan destroyed almost could have destroyed the Dark Knight trilogy with the Dark Knight Rises. That's how much I hated that film.
No way.
But anyway,
that hurts.
So like the Batman, even though I'm saying I didn't love it, it's still third on my list. You know, I'm also not. I think the original Batman films with Keaton they're okay. I don't love them. And then obviously there's the Schumacher films.
They're okay. They're fine. You know,
put those over there. But anyway, yeah. So so there's our third act problems.
It is.
Let's talk
about. Can I bring up one last thing about the third act? Can I bring up one last thing about the third act?
Absolutely.
So again, one of my biggest gripes of the movie in general is that I feel like the narrative in and of itself, right, wasn't that interesting, right? Because if you put it up against like the narrative of the Dark Knight and the Batman Begins, those stories in and of themselves are so complex and they have a lot of depth, and they build to a great crescendo. Which again, this film does not do that, which is why it's not. I would call it better than
the greatest, right?
Yeah, but. You know, in the third act, there are glints of what I think Matt Reeves maybe wanted to do. I don't know what happened in the third act, right? I don't know if that's Matt Reeves' call. It looks like it sounds like a WB call. They were just like, wait, what did you want to do? No, we need to have explosions, dude. Yeah, it feels that way, but we don't know. We don't know where that went. But
what do you think he wanted to do?
I have no clue. To be honest, it's such a wash. It's such a wash of the 2.5 hours. I have no clue. It seems like they purposely shot everything in that last sequence, which is what it's so confused. I'm so confused about. It seems so purposeful. It was edited as if it was shot that way. It wasn't like, oh, we shot a whole nother third act and they were piecing it together. No, it didn't feel that way at all.
Yeah,
it felt like that's exactly what they wanted. I'm like, okay, that's why it's puzzling. But the thematic elements did come together a little bit with the Batman at the end because he chooses to save Gotham, the Gothamites from the water, and there was that great shot with the flare, you know, and so he has his answer, right? Like, I shouldn't be vengeance. People need hope, right? So it comes together in that sense thematically. I don't think it earns it by any means because that third act sucked, right? But there's that, right? You have that. So the question is, what happened? Like, where did this go and why did it end up this way? I think the third act could have really been. I think they could have kept the cultist aspect of the Riddler. It would have been really cool if in that Arkham scene when he's talking to Batman and Batman's realizing that, you know, oh shit. Well, first of all, he's realizing what's great about that scene is that he realizes that he is the Batman. Like the Riddler calls him out on it. Like Bruce Wayne is Batman. There is no. They're one and the same, and he's his most self when he's the Batman. I thought that was fucking awesome.
Yeah.
But I thought the Riddler could have just been like, okay, well, guess what? I have more of me out there, which follows the whole Zodiac thing, by the way, that he's based on. Yeah. And then it could have been just Pattinson like spending the last half hour trying to find these guys to stop them from, you know, being from this cult from growing and realizing that they're part that these Riddler clones or whatever represent bits and parts of him that he needs to kill to not become the Riddler. Like something psychological like that, I thought would have really made, and not huge explosions or anything, would have made a much stronger ending, one that matches the rest of the film. And so
you know, I feel like, to piggyback off that, I feel like that's the third act had this, you know, this grand idea, and I do think it was Matt Reeves' idea. I think that I don't think it was WB because, like you said, it was edited and shot that way. It didn't look like, you can tell when, oh, we reshot this. Typically, you can say, oh, that was reshot for this, or you can figure it out. But yeah, I think this was his overall goal, and it does, for me, it felt like it fell apart after that discussion. After that, oh, we're both, you know, you're an orphan. Well, he doesn't actually know that he's Bruce Wayne. It hints at it, but he doesn't. He hints at it, yeah. I mean, I think it would have been better if he did know he was Bruce Wayne, because it would have shown cracks in his identity. And
I would have too.
Yeah, I think it would have really worked better, because you can see the fear in his eyes when he starts to hint that he's Bruce Wayne. You can be like, oh shit.
That's what I'm saying. He could have fucked with him psychologically, realizing that this guy knows, and maybe I'm not doing a great job of hiding who I am.
Exactly.
You know, and that there's cracks in who this early Batman is. And I'm gonna, with these people out there now, that I kind of messed this up. I'm gonna go fix it. and it's going to be, you know, that physical problem like that, while also being like a psychological issue that he needs to figure out.
Right.
I
think that like he had to have had a like I just don't think they had the landing sorted out when they started shooting it, when they started going into it, because they had such that great storyline, 2 orphans, but one gets all the attention. Bruce Wayne got all the attention, but was he really an orphan? Because he was a billionaire. Right. And then here's the orphans that got nothing. And then they found out that renewal plan that was supposed to help him was all bullshit because Falcone took it over. I think that could have, you know, worked. They had that plan, and then they just didn't know how to tie it together and end it on a crescendo. Like you said, there was no crescendo moments in the film at all, which is fine because that's not the film that they're sold. That Matt Reeves wanted, I guess. But like, it does feel like both Matt Reeves and WB said, well, we have to have some sort of crescendo, which maybe you do, maybe you don't. Like, you could make an argument that Joker has more of a crescendo than this. But
100%.
Yeah. So like,
100%.
you know, it didn't have that moment. And I do think like maybe they could have just ended it after he catches the Riddler. And then, like you said, he uncovers the ring, and he could have gone back into that voiceover and said, the work has not stopped and won't stop. Gotham is slowly starting to get cleaned up. And then you see more Riddlers and more villains start to pop up. Like, you could have made it that Riddler inspired this entire new group of villains, which is why I hate that tiny little cameo at the end. Hated it.
The Joker.
I listen.
I'm with you.
Let's jump into that because like third act, we agree. Third act could have been better.
This is part of the third act, just so you know.
Yeah. Oh shit, you're right. This is fuck it. We'll keep talking about third act. So at the end, we get a little tease of the Joker, played by Barry Keoghan. Yes, the Drake from Eternals. And look, he's a great actor. He may be a great Joker, but you know what? I am sick and fucking tired of Joker. We've seen Joker.
Thank you,
we've
sir.
Listen, we have the one and the only Mr. Heath Ledger. It's probably never going to get better than that. You have to find another take on Joker to be better than that. But on top of that, you had Zack Snyder's terrible Joker. You had the Gotham TV series, which had a Joker and another Joker, I think. Had 2 versions of Joker. Like, Joker's in like every freaking DC cartoon that gets out. Like, I'm sick and tired of Joker. I'm tired of it. Like, I couldn't
agree with you more. I'm absolutely over it. I absolutely don't care anymore. We've had
I don't care
2
anymore.
actors who won Oscars for their performance of the Joker. It's like, what are we trying to prove here?
Yeah,
like, we're good.
Leave it alone.
Batman has so many other fucking villains.
Exactly. Give me
my God,
Mr.
please
Freeze.
stop.
Give me one of Batman's other million great fucking rogues that are so many. They're so great. Like, you know, hey, I don't need to see the Joker again. I know you're trying to sell movie tickets. I know he's going to make a lot of money. I know, but I don't care. I know he's a big part.
Either.
Like, but this is pretty much all you did here was a central tease to say the Joker's coming in the sequel because everybody loves an encore.
But it really did not need to be the Joker, right?
It didn't need to be anybody.
Right. It didn't need to be anybody. Matt Reeves, I thought, would be a little. that really felt WB. That if anything felt WB, I was like, oh, that's for sure. I don't think Matt Reeves. I don't know if Matt Reeves had any interest in having the Joker at all.
I think he had an interview where he said, I didn't even think about putting the Joker in until like the final days of the script. So I think somebody read it and said, hey, we got to put Joker in. But yeah, we just don't need him. Like,
no.
And it's not a hit. It's not a hit on the actor or Matt Reeves.
No.
I'm sure their version of Joker will be fantastic. But yeah, I don't want to see the Joker anymore. Give me Mr. Freeze. Give me the Sandman. Give me somebody else.
Yeah, someone else. Mad Hatter.
Yeah. Mad Hatter. Go deep into the reinvent one of his like silly villains to make Make him be super cynical.
I would like him to. I would have loved for him to take one of the more niche ones and just be like, "Here's why this villain is super scary."
Yeah, Calendar Man.
Calendar Man. Oh, I forgot about Calendar Man. You're right.
Give me Calendar Man.
He was great in the animated series. I like that. But yeah, you laid the groundwork for something completely new and fresh, and then you go back on it and say, "Here's the Joker." It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Okay.
That third act, man, just really kind of it can ruin the movie for you.
It really could. And the more we stay on this, the more I'm like, okay, 8.5. All right.
Yeah. I thought about it more. I was like at an 8 after I finished it. And then I started thinking about it. And then really, like you said, it didn't hit me until we started having this conversation. It didn't hit me till you said it. Like, it's all the third act. I really don't have a problem with the movie until the third act.
Me either.
It's great
I don't either.
Till then.
I don't either.
So yeah,
I don't either.
Look,
so
no Joker, third act, just a cleaner ending would have been better. Something
cleaner ending. Yeah.
Like, I get you want to put out the message that Batman means hope and he's redefined. So yeah, that's the quick thoughts. Actually, not so quick thoughts.
Not so quick thoughts, but
on the Batman.
It's fine.
Let's talk about some of your favorite moments.
Favorite moments? The top one for me, for sure. I want to say the top. No, I don't want to say top, but because it's easy. It's almost easy to call this the top one. But there were so many other great moments in the first 2 acts that, have their own details. But the obvious one is the Batmobile, baby. That chase, which you said you had something to say about, which is why I want to talk about it. Yes. I love that. That whole thing, I did not think was going to be as cool and incredible as I thought it was going to be, considering you had amazing chases in the Nolan series, films, like the Tumbler in the first Batman Begins, and then the Batpod in Dark Knight. But dude, with the moment that thing revs up, the sound design when thing revs up,
the whole theater shook.
It was
crazy.
Booming. It was booming, and that whole chase sequence down that what do you call it? That freeway, was awesome. And how it ended was awesome. It was really good. Okay, and so that's easy. I think it's pretty clear that anybody who saw that sequence would be like, "That's fucking awesome."
Okay,
what's on your mind about that?
What bothered me about that scene is I loved it too. The scene I don't think was edited all that well for me.
Really,
I did not love the editing in that scene at all. Even though I really liked the scene. It felt like at one point we're going this way, and at the next point we're going this way. So like it broke it in filming. It broke the 180 rule, right?
Really?
I think it did, because at one point I was like, wait, and it's a personal gripe. It's not really a gripe that, hey, the Dark Knight chase scene where it goes under the tunnel and all that stuff, that breaks the 180 rule too. You're going one way and then you're going the other way, and it doesn't bug anyone else, but it bugs me as a video editor. And it ruins my perspective of it. Cause I'm just like, wait, we're going one way and now we're going the other. And it's like, it's not so much a critique on the film or the shot or anything. It's just a critique of like,
filmmaking.
Shouldn't we not shouldn't be doing that? Like, don't break it. You have millions of dollars at your hands. Don't break the 180 rule. Because it does bug me, and I know it won't bug anyone. And that's like a really, really stupid personal thing. But
no, that's fine. No, I love that. I love that critique. I think that's a great critique.
That's my one problem.
But I would say I had the opposite reaction, and maybe I need to rewatch it. I had the absolute opposite reaction. I thought the editing in that was one of the best things about it. Really? And I don't know, for me, I understood that they were pretty much going right to left. Maybe I'm wrong. Right to left. I don't know. Whatever.
Yeah. Now you're thinking about it. You're like, wait a minute.
I don't know. We have to rewatch it. I'm sure we will.
Yeah.
That's a great critique. I see now. I'm gonna watch. No. I like that, because I'm gonna rewatch that scene, and maybe I'm wrong, but I thought that the way it was edited, the whole sequence was just more thrilling than you think. Just 2 cars going down a freeway really should be, and I love that the way it crescendos in that scene. Although I don't know if I wasn't really understanding though. When he makes his huge Evel Knievel jump through the fire. Yeah. Was that supposed to be like as he jumped, used the ramp on that car? Because it happens like 10 seconds after he does that. So
it took a long time.
I wasn't sure the physics there.
That was.
But the shot was awesome where you see
the shot was cool. It clearly waited
flipping.
Until he's
so
it clearly
good.
waited until
But then the vengeance walk at the end with the fucking score. By the way, the score.
Yeah, the score was great. Yeah,
Michael Giacchino. Oh my god, good.
That was good music. Any other favorite parts, moments? Best moments for you?
This is what's hard is that, dude, it's like the first 2 acts just have some really great scenes that have so much details. First of all, the beginning of the movie is phenomenal. Where he first comes out from the shadows and like again over the voiceover, which I thought was a great. I mean, it seems obvious now because every great noir should have a voiceover. We don't get that very often anymore, like voiceovers like that, and it just worked so well.
Noir films are dead.
Oh yeah, noir. So absolutely. Like, what was the last noir fucking film we ever had?
Noir
Mainstream
and Western films are dead, and this one could revive the New York franchise. Like,
I hope so.
Here's a superhero movie reviving this.
Hell
it's like space adventures were kind of dead until Guardians came out.
I feel like if anything comes close, it's kind of Blade Runner has sort of like that noir feel.
Blade Runner 2049. Yeah,
it doesn't go fully into it, but if any franchise that I know. I didn't hate that movie though. But
I didn't hate it either, but it's really long, and it's really like,
Blade Runner. We'll talk about Blade Runner a whole other time, but I don't have the love for that series as much as some other people do because I do get bored.
Yeah,
the world's amazing. Blah 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 blah. Anyways,
anyway,
Batman.
Go ahead.
And by the way, I thought the voiceover was severely lacking throughout the movie. I would have loved more voiceover.
Preach.
Particularly in the middle of the movie, I think would have been really good.
Give me way more voiceover.
Way more voiceover, I think, could have been really great. Yeah. Just because I think by the middle of the film, again, in terms of the meat, the thematic meat, and sort of the emotionality and that you get with Batman, it does start to lack. I don't know if all of that really works. Like the attachment that you feel with him and what he's going through, he gets very, very closed off throughout the whole movie. Like he does not speak most of the time,
Yes.
And so it's hard to like kind of get where he's at. And I can understand the criticism that some people have had that he does start to feel a little one note.
He does
through this 2-hour movie. And I'm
absolutely does. Now look,
go ahead.
That note about the voiceover is fantastic, I think, because it's the date, the movie starts on Halloween, October 31st. Then it ends November 7th. It's a 7-day window, right? Give me a voiceover recapping every day. Me and Commissioner Gordon are getting closer. Like a little voiceover diary every day. Like you're getting closer. Selena, this person is intriguing. Something like that. And that would give you way more depth into Pattinson.
Yeah,
and like
a little bit more relatability, right? A little bit more because
he is incredibly stoic. He is incredibly closed off, which is fine. Batman is that, but one of the other problems I had with the film, and really the third act and this were only the two problems I had with the film.
Big ones,
is that you don't feel like you don't. I think, gosh, I don't know how to say this without being. Robert Pattinson does a fantastic job as Batman. But you don't ever get connected to the character in any way. Yeah, you don't like you're not emotionally invested in him, I don't think, ever. And like typically you can do that through Bruce Wayne, right? Or he'll show something. He's not as closed off. He's not so much of a dick to Alfred as he was. And then like, yes, there's that one scene where he holds his hand, which I already said it was like, but I don't need, but that's not really great.
It didn't work.
No, because you took the whole movie and you made this guy, Bruce Wayne, basically non-existent in the film.
Yeah, that's exactly. And it kind of works in the sense when it builds up to that point where you realize, when the Riddler says that Batman is Bruce Wayne, you are so broken that you cannot separate these personas. And it's funny because I swear to God, I mean, I don't know. I'm not a detective, but I swear if I saw Bruce Wayne brooding like that, I'd be like, that motherfucker is Batman.
Right.
Like guy could totally be Batman. Look at this guy. Right. What the fuck?
As a first or the second year story, which is what it is. He's been Batman for 2 years, right? it works. He doesn't understand that like Bruce Wayne can't sit in the shadows forever. He doesn't get that yet. He has to eventually he has to go back out into society and interact with the Gotham world, with the Gotham elites.
Right.
So people can say, no, that's not Batman. Or else, and Olivia made this note that that he looked a little too Edward Cullen-y for her the entire film. that he looked a little too sparkly.
Oh no!
Film.
Don't say that. Don't say that. I mean, that's gonna haunt the shit out of Robert Pattinson.
But he did.
Sure.
Yeah. So
well, I think he's a bat and he played a vampire, not too far off from each other.
Right. True. Like here's the thing. Like this movie was fantastic at building the Batman, which is what it's called, right? And it did a great job. But I think the sequel, you have to start to work on Bruce Wayne. You have to figure out a way to balance the two a little bit better because this was 90, 95, 5 Batman.
Yeah.
And you don't feel like you know anything about the character.
Let's actually talk about that because I did notice that. Anybody who watched it notices that, like, wow, he's actually Batman for most of the movie. Like, it's barely Bruce Wayne, which I actually really liked. I mean, I like that. But again, you do have to have those moments though where you get Bruce and you understand that, he isn't always Batman. And so what is that like? And I think that's a perfect the voiceover coming in after every day or just after every little beat that happens could have really, really helped to just see what he's thinking. What are you thinking right now, man? Because like you are thinking, you're smart as fuck. You solve these riddles in like 2 seconds. Yeah. And they're not even that hard. And yet I can't even do them. So it's like, what are you thinking? You're clearly thinking you're a smart dude. So yeah, the journaling, I mean, more of that would have been so good and it would have fit. And I think it would have really helped all that. I think it might have really helped that Alfred bit. Maybe he feels like he can't talk to Alfred all the time. Maybe he feels like Alfred is a little overbearing, and that would have really helped that moment where he has to like sit next to the guy and he loves him, but he has a hard time. Yeah, then he also keep going.
The scene where he's like rushing home to try to save Alfred from the bomb that Riddler sends to Bruce Wayne. That's like the only moment you get to like peek inside Bruce Wayne a little bit. Yeah. Where he calls her and said, "Get out of the house," or whatever. I don't forget what he says. Right. But like that's the only scene you actually feel like, oh, Bruce Wayne has a little bit of a heart.
That he cares something more than his whole plan,
Batman.
Than his old vengeance.
Yeah. So like, and it works better if you add that VO in it. It works better if you 100%. Give us just a tad bit more Bruce Wayne. Yeah. That being said, I think I'm excited to see where he can take Bruce Wayne. Again, there's 2 different characters. You have to treat them as 2 different characters. Batman's one, Bruce Wayne is another. So you're playing 2 different characters in the same movie. I think Robert Pattinson did a fantastic job as the Batman. He is a little one note. Just a tiny bit.
I don't think that's his fault, though, right? That's not his fault. No, I think that's a writing
that's a writing thing. The movie's built.
And I think that again, it could have worked just fine as long as they just added little notes of like, okay, we're gonna get into his head right now. But dude, Robert Pattinson's awesome. Holy shit! There was not 1 second I did not buy him. Yeah. From the moment that he came out, I was like, wow, okay, yeah, this works. This works so really well. Great.
He did a great job.
He's so good, dude. He's so good.
What? Oh. So one of my favorite scenes.
What are your favorite? Yeah, what's one of your favorite things? Pretty
much, like I think the action scenes were great and cool, and there's 2 scenes that really sticked out to me that I really, really loved in the film.
Yeah, what?
One was when he first goes to that club, 44 Below. Mm-hmm. I think it's called the Iceberg Lounge.
Yep, that's right.
The 44 Below is the
one beneath it.
Secret club.
Yeah, the secret club.
As Batman. And the twins, and he closes the door, and then they open the door, and he starts just beating up people, and he walks through the club, and he's just. That whole scene is peak Batman.
Sure.
Get the F out of my way. And I just loved it because it just like it spoke like comics and peak Batman to me. And that whole scene was super, super, super cool to me. I was like, yes, that's awesome.
I agree.
He goes and he throws a penguin up on the, in the glass in the little penthouse area, and he's trying to get answers. He's not scared of anything. He just shows like right there, like, no. I don't give a damn who you are. you ain't touching me. Go ahead.
And I want to piggyback on that, and I love I love the story in and of itself in that sequence, because he goes back 2 more times, and each time he's someone else. So when he goes back to the club, he's Bruce Wayne.
Yeah,
and he's like, "Do you know me?" And they're like, "Oh yeah, you're Bruce Wayne. Come on in."
Yeah, exactly.
It's so easy for Bruce Wayne to come back in. And the last time he goes to the lounge, he doesn't even bother. He just like hides.
Yeah.
And then he just sneaks right by him.
And then he puts on his suit.
That is so funny. Like that whole sequence I thought was just really funny and really brilliant. That he just doesn't give a fuck. And it shows you again the faces of of Bruce and Batman and like what the symbol means in different lights. I just thought that was really brilliant. That whole play was
the
funny.
second thing I loved is not really a scene, but like a collection of things. I thoroughly enjoyed the relationship between him and Gordon. Jim Gordon and him, I just like from the moment it goes, I just thought that was fantastic. Like
Jeffrey Wright,
Jeffrey Wright was so good when they're in the interrogation room.
Yeah,
and he goes,
"Yeah,
you're gonna punch me," and I was like,
that was gonna be my second favorite.
Dude, I was the only one laughing in the theater.
Was awesome. Really?
Yeah, I started laughing really loud because I thought it was so funny.
I don't know if people were getting it. Like, I guess it's a bit of a subtle joke, but the way that he was like moving his face just to make it seem like he was interrogating him. Yeah, that is funny as shit. And Jeffrey Wright is so good because he plays Gordon, unlike who I think a lot of people think would be the best Gordon might be what's his face from the Nolan trilogy?
Gary
Oldman, who was fantastic. But Jeffrey brings a whole another layer to Gordon here, where he feels kind of like, I don't want to say he's a rookie. He's not a rookie, but he feels like that cop who is still trying to make a name for himself, and he has a best friend who's fucking Batman.
It's almost a buddy cop.
And they're just trying to make a case for each other about how they're just the best team for everything. Yeah. And I love that dynamic of just, I'm going to help you. You're going to help me. Also, we're just really good friends. I love, like, they understand each other on that level. They really understand each other.
Rewatch this movie solely on the relationship built between Batman and Jim Gordon.
I couldn't agree with you more on that.
I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. I loved how the rest of the police hated him. And then towards the end, people are like, Gordon's right. This guy's going to help us. And that to me, that was my second favorite part of the movie. Like, it really, really helped make the movie for me. Go ahead.
I agree. And you always have to have an interrogation scene inside of a police station at a Batman film. So that really worked. But let's talk about the end of that scene with the what, I don't know what he calls it, with the jumpsuit. How fucking cool! Yeah, I don't a jumpsuit, right?
Oh my gosh, it was so
how
cool.
How sick was that?
I love the little hint of him being scared of heights. Yeah, where he gets up, he's like, fuck.
He was like, oh, right? Like he's maybe tested this out once or twice before. He's never had to do this before. Again, great detail right there. If you catch it, like, oh wow, he was actually his breath was taken aback. He was like,
yeah. Here we go.
But damn, like the cool way that his fucking he just zips on, latches on.
To piggyback off that,
very
dude.
Cool.
I do love how because this is essentially an origin story of this Batman. This is what this is.
It is.
And without the stupid typical origin crap that you need. Here's how the parents die. Here's how I trained. None of that nonsense. It's just the story of here's how I learned to become a better Batman. Right. So. Right. I do love how we get several little hints of the cool gadgets that will eventually come into play.
Right.
He's got a cool computer. He's got the like battering thing that he shoots he shoots through like someone's leg through it at one point. That was crazy. The jumpsuit, all the really cool stuff. Like, and I'm excited to see Matt Reeves build on that. I mean, you've obviously built this kind of very terrible Gotham, real world Gotham City. Yeah. I mean, the place looks like absolute shit.
Oh, so Gotham was awesome.
Yeah. So like you build on that, and you can't go too over the top. You can't do you can't pull out a Batman credit card like in
the Schumacher stuff. No.
Yeah, but you can still give us
lit like a fucking like a club.
Yeah, you can still give us a little bit more than the Nolan franchise gave us because you've built on it just a little bit. He's not using military tech. He's building. No. He built a fucking jet engine in his like 1970s Challenger. That's the Batmobile. So yeah, I'm very, very excited to see that part of it grow. Yeah,
agreed. I think one of the best things he did here is that it actually made it feel super fresh. You know, we've had so many Batman films. It's like all these scenes that will inevitably be repeated.
Right.
You know, how does he make it feel fresh? And he does it, and a big part of it is because he completely changed the genre that this is in. It's a noir, and so it almost made it. I don't want to say easy. I'm sure it was difficult. But it's like, okay, yeah, as long as you follow the rules of a noir, all these scenes can really feel like its own thing. And lo and behold, it does that. I mean, to go back to the gadgets, the freaking just simple a thing as like an eye, the contact lens.
Yes,
it's a simple thing. You've seen that a bajillion times. Yet here it feels so. I don't know. It felt so fresh. It felt so different.
So cool.
Like, oh, Batman uses. Yeah, a contact lens. That makes sense. Like,
that's how he that makes sense. It's a camera. Yeah, like there's a lot of cool little tech. I love the little hint that we get that. I'm using from my days in the circus that Alfred says Alfred was in the CIA. So I think they kind of hint that maybe he wasn't trained by the League of Shadows. This Batman, he was trained by Alfred to fight, which is really cool. Which is a different way to take it.
Yeah.
And if you allow me to compare them, this new way to tell an origin story is a fantastic job by Matt Reeves to reintroduce Batman in a new way. And you can compare it to the home trilogy of Spider-Man. So Kevin Feige used 3 films to tell an origin story of Spider-Man. And now we get to jump into the future and we're super excited. And that's exactly what Matt Reeves did here. He told a brand new origin story for the Batman. And I love it. And he didn't have to like reinvent the wheel to do so. He just took a genre that was not used anymore.
You said dead. It was almost dead.
He took a genre that was dead and he built on it. And that's what made it fun and great. And yeah, I really, really, really enjoyed that aspect of this film.
And I would bet money that studios are going to take note and we're going to see a lot more different genre films, particularly in superhero movies coming out. I bet money. And, you know, what's interesting about this is that, you know, Marvel has half done this. They've done half measures on playing with the genre with their movies. Go ahead. What?
You know who's done it?
Who?
Reinventing a genre or using a genre to reinvent a show? Boba Fett, Mandalorian. That's a space western.
Sure, yeah. It's a Western. It's a Western.
You're right. It's dead. But
you're 100% right. That's true.
Yeah,
and that worked on the small screen, and now we're seeing it on the big screen, which is great. But yeah, you know, again, we saw that a little bit in the Marvel films, but they don't commit full on, right? They still all feel like Marvel films. That's one of the critiques. I would say it's a bit of a strength. Marvel.
Yeah,
it might be a bit of a strength. You know, again, it works.
Marvel has a formula.
Yeah, there's a reason. There's a reason why they don't go too far, and it's working so great.
Yeah,
but here you go. Here's a movie that went nope. We're gonna go all in on this. It's gonna be a noir. I mean, it's so bursting with noir musk and atmosphere that you could argue that it's almost like that whole thing came first.
Yeah,
and Batman is attached to that. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
and
I agree. Completely agree with you.
Yeah.
But
that whole thing's brilliant.
For that, I want to say this because I know some creator out there is going to be listening to us. Just kidding, probably not. Anyway,
you never know.
This works because it's a Batman film. Batman can translate into a dark, gritty noir film.
Right.
You know what can't translate into that? The Flash.
I was gonna say, the
Aquaman.
other DCs. Yeah, Wonder
Shazam.
Woman.
No, it won't work. You have to find another genre to put life into it. You know what would work for The Flash? A heist movie.
Right.
Something like that. Aquaman would work as an adventure film.
Adventure film, exactly.
Yeah, like which they did.
Granted, that is basically what Aquaman
the first one is. Yeah, and that's why the first one, you know,
was successful.
Fans aside, but it was a success.
I didn't like the movie, but okay.
Yeah, I personally didn't love it, but hey, it worked because it knows what it is. So like WB, I hope you see this, but you have to realize that you cannot make everything dark and gritty. Like Superman didn't work.
No,
because it was dark and gritty. Like nobody wants Superman is hopeful and great and just all these amazing things. And that's not what Batman is. Batman's shitty and dark and terrible. Like that's his did.
Yeah.
Like
I mean,
he does things that people don't want to do.
No,
and
true.
He makes the decisions that people don't want to make. That's why this noir film works. But yeah, you got to be careful because I do agree. We will see more of these kind of noir type takes on films. Like I think we might actually see Marvel do it in Moon Knight. With voiceover, because he can't remember who he is. So we're going to have a lot of different voiceover of him.
Yeah,
maybe.
Yeah, absolutely. Moon Knight's very exciting.
But yeah. So, yeah. That was
what else we got for the Batman? I mean,
yeah. What else you got?
I think
maybe sequel ideas.
Batman 2. I mean, that's definitely coming now, obviously. I mean, Matt Reeves has said that he wants to bring Mr. Freeze. So there you go. Hopefully you get your Mr. Freeze in number 2. But now I'm just really curious. I mean, you don't introduce the Joker without he's obviously going to be in number 2.
Yeah.
Like I'm not excited for that, but I just really hope that they do make it make sense and that, you know, I'm sure Barry is going to do a great job, but
I'm hoping with all hope that they hold the Joker till at least the third one. Cause look,
that's what I would hope.
They're going to do a trilogy. We know that. I don't think this version of the Batman will be seen in the new version of the Justice League that's reintroduced. I think that we'll see potentially a different Batman introduced, which, look, that's totally fine, WB. I think you can do that. Just don't make 2 different Batman films at the same time. Just have a different Batman existing in the Justice League, or don't have Batman in the Justice League. But, I mean, I can feel somebody at WB cringing, like, we can't not have Batman in the Justice League.
Well, see, that's why this is a whole interesting move, though, right? Is that this movie feels much more an offshoot of the success of the Joker film than it does being a jump off of another Justice League or the world building that they're trying to do. Because like, how the fuck could you possibly take this Batman and put it in the original Justice League that you've made? But that's the thing, is like, we don't really know what the future is for DC at the moment, right? We don't know what their next move is in terms of, is there another Justice League movie? Is it Justice League 2? Who's going to be in it? I mean, obviously they're keeping up with everyone else besides. Well, we don't know about Superman. We don't exactly know what they're going to do with Henry Cavill.
I don't know about Henry Cavill, but they're doing the Michael B. Jordan Superman film, right?
Is that green? Was that greenlit?
I think that was greenlit. I think
happening?
That's HBO Max. Michael B. Jordan and Michael B. Jordan's just producing it or directing it. I'm not sure.
I don't know.
It's a different version. He's not Superman. He's another Kryptonian, and I can't remember his name. But I'm sure they're going to call it Superman. But yeah, like DC seems weird to me because you have these like really great movies, and then you have these other kind of okay movies that are in the Justice League, and they seem to be stuck. They like what do we do? Because Batman versus Superman didn't do what you wanted it to do. Justice League, even the Justice is Gray, the Zack Snyder version didn't do, like, they can't sell themselves to that one because they've already cast new Batman. They're they're fixing everything. Like, most reports said that the Flash would be recast, and somehow, some way, the Flash guy was able to Ezra Miller was able to save his role. But if it doesn't work, they're gonna recast him. So like, it does seem like they're in this like phase of still trying to figure out how to put together a Justice League film. Because at the end of the day, it is about that. Like, maybe not for you and I, but for them. When you see a movie like Avengers Endgame and Avengers Infinity War gross $1 billion in a weekend, that's the end game. The end game is to put those characters on screen doing that. And right now, you don't have any movie that's going to do that. Like, the Batman's going to make a lot of money, and it may get to $1 billion. I think it might. It's got. I don't know if it'll have. I don't know if it'll have like the word of mouth the way No Way Home was able to. But that's the goal. Like, don't kid yourself. Mm-hmm. And if you don't have that, you have to figure out how to build toward that. And right now, you have the Joker and his
sell it. Yeah.
You have the Joker in his weird universe. You have the Batman in another universe, it seems, because that's a different Joker. If it was Joaquin Phoenix's Joker, that would have been, you would have been like, clear. Oh, fuck.
No, this is completely living in its own world, 100%.
Right. So like, I don't think we'll see Pattinson with Gal Gadot.
And to me that's fine. I would rather these things work separately than they do work together and see it fail. Like for sure, 100%. Like that's the worst thing you could do is like set this whole world up and then dump it into another one and then suddenly just kind of rewrites everything you thought about it, and that kind of fucking sucks. But you know, everyone to talk about the Flash again. Everyone's saying that it pulls from, what is it called? Flashpoint. Again, I don't know the comics, but it's supposed to reset, quote unquote, this Justice League ish thing, because they're bringing it. So yeah, and they're bringing back the Batman, the Keaton's Batman. So yeah, right now it's just all a jumble though. It's like it's all over the place. What's happening here? I don't understand. So I can only hope they have a plan, and we're gonna see that throughout this year for sure. I think by the end of the year, it's pretty clear we're gonna know 2023, 2024, like what DC is gonna look like, and then possibly the next Justice League film.
Right.
But
so I think that, you know, for the sequel, I hope it's not the Joker. I hope we get more of the noir take on Batman, because it did work. I hope it sticks the landing a lot better. And I do hope that it is I hope basically we see everything that we got in this one minus the last 30 minutes, upped a little bit. Better tech, bigger villains, more of Gotham, more of Bruce Wayne. We got a lot of Batman. I want more. Bruce Wayne.
I want more depth. I want more depth from Bruce.
I want to understand
from
Bruce
Batman
a little bit better. Yeah.
I want the more emotional payoffs.
Yeah.
And I think that Matt can obviously do it. Reeves has shown. I mean, he's made some of the best movies. His track record's incredible, and I love all the movies he does pretty much.
Yeah.
And so I know he can do it. Pretty clear he knows what he's freaking doing. But I need we need these themes and these emotional payoffs to happen and stick the landing more, because that was severely lacking in this film, as we've already gone over.
Yeah.
But I think he can do it, and I hope he's listening. He definitely needs to have that, because I think those criticisms have not fallen through the cracks, and quite frankly, I'm pretty happy with where the score is on Rotten Tomatoes right now with its 85 certified fresh. I actually thought it was going to be in the 90s, considering the amount of praise it was getting. So to see that some people it wasn't for everybody, and there are flaws in this film, shows that there can be improvement. And so in Batman 2, I'm pretty sure that he can do that. I hope so. Who knows? Again, the third act again is such a bummer. Because if anything, not only did it like kind of tank the movie, it showed that perhaps Reeves, that WB has a little more control on Reeves than we initially thought, and that is a bummer.
Again, I don't know if that's the case, because it does feel.
I don't know what it is.
It was shot and made for that.
I know, but how do you have a whole 2.5 hours, which could have been a whole movie into itself, almost be perfect, and then he just goes, I know what this needs.
Sometimes it doesn't.
This thing.
Sometimes it doesn't land, and it just didn't land. And again, I think I completely agree. Like, you know, and I have a lot of questions. How did he get across the city when it's all flooding? And I don't understand. Did he like jump on the roofs?
That's what you're worried about?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
It just bugs me. Anyway, there are some like really cool visuals in that final fight sequence, but it did feel like we got to end on a big fight. Which, you know, hey, maybe we do, maybe we don't, but it does kind of dilute how powerful the Riddler was. I think a lot of people would say, oh, it makes him show how much, you know, what's the word I'm looking for? So much how much when you can, you know, lift somebody up. What is that? Influence. Show how much influence he has on all these other people.
Yeah. To
do these crazy shit things. But it kind of dilutes it a little bit for me, because he was so good, and he was so like, Paul Dano was fantastic. He was
great,
menacing in the role. And like this dude, the first scene you see him in, it sets him up as a fucking terror. Like that scene could that scene could go in a horror movie. I totally forgot about that.
When the light flashes for a second and you see him just standing there, that is terrifying. That was
the mayor's right here, and then he's right behind him, and the mayor walks away, and you're like, oh, what the Yeah,
Yeah,
dude.
that was brilliant. Brilliant. That was scarier than most horror films have made me scared in the past 3 years.
It sets
Like,
it up to be
very
this, like,
cool.
he's this menacing character. Then you find out that he's just this
yeah.
orphan loser. That sounds bad. But yeah, like, and he's held on to this grudge for so long.
Yeah.
But he's a menace, and it does dilute a little bit for me. Go ahead.
I wanted to ask you.
Sure.
In relation to the Riddler, you see all these things that he does, right? It's very Seven, it's very Saw, right? It's all these traps, pretty dark stuff.
Very Saw, very Seven, yes.
I loved it, obviously. The bomb scene, also really good. I almost forgot about that scene. That was a fun. My heart was pounding.
When he doesn't give up the name.
When he strapped up the bomb onto forget the actual character's name, but Peter Skarsgård. That whole scene was phenomenal. Anyways, Coulson.
Yeah.
The whole time I was thinking, every time those scenes ended, I was like, oh, I want to kind of see. I want to squirm a little more. I wanted to see a little blood. I wanted to see. Oh,
you wanted an R version.
I had a. I don't know. I'm not saying I wanted an R version because I think it worked, and I'm glad that more people can get to see this film as is. That being said, what do you think the film for you? Would the film have been better for you if it was possibly R? If it really went not too hard, right? I'm not talking gore, but like where you can just like think Seven, right? That film like grossed you out to the point where it wasn't so bad that, it really tottered on the whole R gruesome thing.
Doesn't serve too much of a purpose to me. Too much more of a purpose to me. Like, maybe not. Like, I think it's fine the way it is, just because I think the way he builds the tension in the film and the way he, tells the Riddler's story and makes the Riddler kind of this menacing, crazy terrorist person, essentially, works. And I like it because, you got gore, and then you kind of, not gore, but you got blood. You kind of got this slippery slope when Batman's beating people up, and how much do you show of that? And, are we really going to show a guy blowing up into pieces? Because that's what would have happened.
That's so true. I didn't think about that. Yeah, he would have. Yeah. There would have been literal blood, and there was like zero blood. It's pretty. I totally agree with you. Ultimately, I only asked that question because it teetered on that so hard, and I was thinking, I don't think I would hate it if it did go over, but I think it's a testament to just how great, on that line that Matt was able to sort of be on in terms of how scary and gruesome and menacing he was able to make the Riddler, and what the horrible things he was doing in real life would be completely terrifying and gross, and still managed to make him that way. So I don't think so. I don't think it needed it, but it would be tantalizing. It would be pretty to me to have if it had gone that little extra mile. I think it would have like made me get up on my seat a little more, been like, oh, okay, where are we? This is a new world we're in, WB. Like, you are really taking risks here now.
I agree. I think
like it, but they didn't. So
maybe not. Like, I think that it doesn't add too much more, but I can see it adding a little value. So I see your point.
No, I know. I don't think it would add value to the movie as it came out. Absolutely not. I don't think so. Obviously not.
But I think it would. But if you're moving toward the front of your seat, then it is adding a little bit of value.
I mean, to me. But again, where it does it is the fact that less people may be able to see it. In which case,
but to be honest, like, even though it didn't have the blood and the gore and all that stuff, like, the scenes were done so well, it didn't bother you. Like, you go back to that Uncharted scene when they
definitely don't miss it.
Antonio Banderas' throat, and you're just like, why does it look like there's a sprinkle of corn syrup on his neck all of a sudden?
I forgot about, you're right.
Yeah, like there's that, and then there's this. This works. It still works well.
You go back to that scene, it's like, why didn't you just block it so that you don't see him face up with his neck open? Why don't you just have him fall over the other way?
Yeah,
and we would have totally got that scene.
Take the back angle of it. It's fine.
That's pretty bad directing right there. Sorry, Fletcher, but goddamn. Anyways, I don't want to talk about Uncharted anymore. Well, it sounds like that. I'm glad that you like the Batman eventually. I was really scared you were going to say like, oh, this movie was trash, that it wasn't for you. No. There are some few who were actually really disappointed by this film. I'm not going to name them, but
I will say though, I think that there is the movie the hype got to me a little bit because I think I was expecting little bit more. Like, I mean, you're giving out a 10. One of our friends, a host, was saying it was the greatest thing she's ever seen. Then again, I guess some maybe that's like a host thing, but like, I was seeing so many people talk so like high above it on it, and I was like,
they were calling that masterpiece.
It was good, but it's not a masterpiece. It like I left it saying it's no Dark Knight. It's not Batman Begins, but it's good. It's still good. It's still a fun. I shouldn't say fun. It's a good movie.
Fun.
It's not
what
a
are
fun
your
movie.
Saturday nights about?
Yeah, it's not a fun movie. Like if you want a fun movie, go watch. I don't know, No Way Home again. I don't know.
It's not. It's not a fun movie, but it is. I mean, for me, I'm going back and forth. When it's in its highest level, is this like the most? Is it the most atmospherically sound and visually striking superhero movie ever made? It might be. Right? I mean, maybe
it might be because when it works, when it,
I'm telling you, man.
If you just give me Gordon, Batman, and the Riddler, I'm sorry, I really, really did like Selena Kyle. I don't want anybody to think that I don't think Zoe Kravitz like performance wasn't good. It was great. She was fantastic. I like the dynamic between her and Batman, but honestly, I kind of don't need it because I think
I agree.
Gordon, Batman, and the Riddler mystery, that whole worked. Detective thing, when that works, I completely agree. You are in it. The atmosphere, you feel like you realize Gotham is a shitty city.
Yeah.
Has he really made a difference yet?
You're in it, man. Yeah. It's very rare that a superhero movie has done that in that way to me.
In that way,
particularly for the first movie, right? I mean, arguable for at least one of the best origin superhero movies we've had.
I would put this on the scale for sure too. One of the best origin stories we've ever had.
So that's what I'm saying. Like that's why I give it its bone where it really hit, because it really hit. And so But let's talk Selena really quick. I don't disagree with you. In fact, if I had a criticism for Zoe Kravitz's character, not her acting, I agree with you that I think Zoe was a great actress, and I thought she did a fine job. I just think it's the way that she was, like her story and her narrative, and the way that fit with everything else. I don't know if that was absolutely necessary. I think they could have done a little bit of a better job of weaving that in. So yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with you.
I agree.
But I also like her, right? I like her on screen. I like that. I love this. I mean, I do love that scene where he sends her in. Like he's just sitting at who knew we would see a scene where Batman's just sitting in a fucking chair being the computer guy while someone else is doing what he needs to be done. I thought that was actually really cool. I love that dynamic. I thought that was a different change of pace.
I do really like that scene. I had honestly forgotten about that scene. So you just mentioned it.
Whole thing was great.
That whole scene was fantastic. But yeah, I agree. I think Zoe Kravitz was really cool. I thought like they nailed the casting of that. She's great as Selena Kyle. But yeah, I don't know if she's pivotal to tell a story. I guess Falcone is like that one thread that connects them all, right? Falcone's the guy.
That obviously becomes the thread. Yeah. So she does the narrative does call for her to be essential, but I mean, but that's because that's narrative sort of armor a little bit rather than necessity, I think.
Exactly.
I'll say in terms of her performance, it's not her performance, but just maybe what they decided to show about her character. There are some parts where I felt I wasn't understanding who she really was, because there are parts where she's like in sultry mode, right? She's in a sexy Catwoman mode where she's like, hey, she's calling him baby. She's like planning a kiss on him all of a sudden. And then there are some times where she really feels like a real not that those people aren't real people. You know what I'm saying? She just feels different. She's out of that character. She's out of that style where you see, unlike where you have, what's her face from the original Batman's, Michelle Pfeiffer, who's like pretty much in that mode the whole time.
That campy mode.
That campy mode. There's some moments there where I wasn't sure understanding why she was turning up in those moments versus not, because I think most of the time she felt very like in normal Catwoman Selena mode versus like, oh, she's trying to seduce him,
right,
or be seductive in a way.
Minus the scene where I think you can have her in the two scenes where she goes and works for Batman in the club, and then when she steals that money, and you could have left her out of the movie from then on. Like, probably there's your tease at Catwoman. She's stealing this money. Boom.
Right. I also don't feel in that sense. I also don't really feel like the romance really. Again, when she kissed him, I was like, I didn't have that like, oh shit, yeah, they finally kissed. Like, I don't know if there was like that. That wasn't really built up that well.
No,
I don't know.
It didn't
I don't
make
really
a lot of
see that
sense
kiss.
because they hadn't spent much time together for them to like each other.
I mean, it's pretty clear she found respect for him,
right?
In that moment, but I just didn't see that like light bulb where, oh yeah, I really like this guy gets me, and I should kiss him now.
That goes into our earlier thing about us saying, look, a little VO daily diary kind of thing would have lifted the movie up.
I met Selena today.
Yeah,
she made me feel things I didn't think.
Can we talk about that really quick? I love Pattinson's voice.
The Batman voice, yes, I loved it too.
Thank you. Finally, it's not some stupid thing. Where's Rachel? Get out! I don't need it anymore. That was the worst part of The Dark Knight.
Where are they? It's given some great iconic moments, though.
It's not who I am under the mask, but what I do that defines me. Like, it's say it like a normal person.
It doesn't take me out of the movie. I think Bale does what he can do for it, but it also does sound like what Bale only could do. It's like, hey, Nolan, like, this is what I have for you today.
Yeah.
Maybe take it or leave it. And he's like,
I wonder what that was like. I was like,
okay.
Can you just talk normally?
You gotta have a Batman voice, though. You gotta have a Batman voice.
You don't. He doesn't really have a Batman voice.
He doesn't really, no. But
well, I guess, yeah.
Pattinson might be definitely the best Batman voice.
Yeah, absolutely.
As of right now, it works.
Maybe I shouldn't say he doesn't have that Batman voice because we barely hear Bruce Wayne talk in the movie. So
yeah,
maybe I think there's like a tiny tonal change, but it's enough and it works. And that was a great part of the movie. And I was so happy it wasn't like a terrible Batman voice,
right?
Or some like what they did with Ben Affleck's Batman.
They kind of gave that little voice, that gravelly robot gravel,
there's like a robot tone
slight,
to it.
Just an underscore of that. I'm like, it's kind of cool, but also just doesn't really make sense. Like, how does he do that?
Leave it alone.
Where's that coming from? I don't really know.
Yeah.
There's again, this movie details like that. This movie had so many little details where it just goes to show that Matt Reeves just really loves this character and that he really spent a lot of time making sure he got it right.
Absolutely.
And again, I didn't read the comics, but it sounds like based on the people who did read the comics that he just nailed it. With every little detail that they could give.
He really nailed Gotham City.
That's for sure.
Really, really nailed, I think, the aesthetic look of the Batman.
It's beautiful, man.
Yeah, he really, I think, nailed a lot of the imagery of
the
whole total
big
film.
Moments, right? Yeah.
You know, the scene where he, cuts out the lights and then comes in the elevator and it's just guns shooting. Like,
oh yeah,
all that stuff.
The blinking,
he really nailed. And it's not surprising because when you go watch his Planet of the Apes trilogy, you realize that, oh man, this dude is really, really great. Like, he builds
he's a force to be
such an
with.
Amazing world through 3 movies in that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And like, before Uncharted became a series, I really wanted him to direct an Uncharted movie because I think it would have looked aesthetically fantastic. But
he would have done it. Would have
been amazing. But anyway, everything that, like you just said, the little details that Matt Reeves does really help build the character up and build this new world that we're going to be in. And I'm excited to see the future. I'm not excited about the villain. I don't want it to be Joker. I hope they can just resist using Joker, but I don't think they're going to. You don't cast Barry Cohen and then not use him in the sequel immediately.
I think if they were smart, that they'll use him very sparingly. But at the same time, we saw that happen and it didn't really work out either with Suicide Squad, where people thought that the Joker was going to be in that more than he is, and he's not in it at all. It's not a great Joker, So kind of thank God in a sense, but also people were kind of disappointed in that too. They were like, well, wait, what the fuck? Jared was not even in this, like very rarely.
Right.
So I don't know how to, but yeah, the thing is that we really don't need another Joker. So I do hope they use him sparingly. I hope he's not the main villain. And I think the smartest thing they can do is maybe not make him the main villain, but maybe there's like a coven of friends that happen and he influences this main villain that comes through. I did hear that there is a comic that does put the Riddler and the Joker together. Like they do work together. So maybe Riddler and Joker kind of work as this like band, like managers of a band trying to pull these like villains together to take them down. Right. In future movies. Maybe there's that. Could be cool.
Batman, he wants the next Batman film to be using Robert Pattinson would like the next Batman film to use the Court of Owls. And I think that is a fantastic idea.
I just like the name. That name's awesome. Yeah, that sounds awesome.
They're basically the secret society that's running this whole underground world of Gotham, and in a way he doesn't know. And I think it's just going. That would be absolutely fantastic, and I think it would be something we haven't seen before. And they would really they are super physical. They are, and so the Court of Owls are this secret society made up of like wealthy Gotham people that want to keep Gotham the way it is. And boy, oh boy, they really, really F things up.
Really?
At one point, they actually, I believe, kill Batman, or they think they kill him. Yeah.
Whoa.
So
put him out of commission a little bit.
Yes, they can put him out of that would be a fantastic sequel idea. Here's this Court of Owls, this very menacing thing, something we've never seen in live action. There's been a lot of animated movies about it.
Yeah, that sounds
actually
awesome.
like season 3 of Gotham, but
had them.
I think so. And I think Gotham's actually a good show, but I don't watch that show.
Oh, okay.
I've never. I'm sorry. I've been told Gotham's a very fun, good show.
Okay,
I should say that. But I'm not interested in watching it. Yeah. So for me, give us the Court of Owls.
Okay.
Wealthy people
down,
fucking up the world, and make Bruce Wayne interact with them.
Right.
Make that be the reason Bruce Wayne has to come back out into society.
Yeah.
He finds out as Batman that the Court of Owls are wealthy Gothamites, and lo and behold, he has an invitation to join him. I think that would be a fantastic reason to have a little bit more of a Bruce Wayne story.
I was going to say that would be a great impetus for him to have to talk and be Bruce Wayne.
He has to come out. He has to be the wealthy Bruce Wayne that we know.
That sounds fucking awesome. I'm so for it. That sounds great. Yeah, I think that'd be great. The fact that you even said Court of Owls just makes me giddy, because it's like, I want to hear other things now. I don't want to hear Joker. I don't want to hear Bane anymore. Like, we've done that.
Yeah, no Bane. I'm tired of Bane.
Speaking really quickly, what did you think of the part where he stabs himself with God knows what? And then
I think it was adrenaline, right?
I mean, I assumed it was adrenaline. But he goes fucking Bane mode all of a sudden. And he almost kills this dude. I thought that was really whack, like kind of interesting and weird. I wasn't expecting that at all.
It was kind of out there, because all of a sudden here's this thing that he has, and I'm like, wait, what? Like, he hasn't really used his utility about most of the movie, and now you're just gonna let him use it. But the part I did love about it is I love that Gordon was the one to stop him.
Right.
It does, like, Gordon in this world, and I think in a lot of comic books too, Gordon is the one that can keep Batman from crossing over the edge.
Yeah.
Gordon, Alfred, those are the people that are important, that stop him from becoming a monster. Because he lives in a dark world. It weighs heavy on you.
Yeah.
And again, the best part of this movie, and I'm taking it back. I know I said one of my favorite parts was when he goes into the club. No, my favorite part of the movie was the collection of scenes with Gordon and Batman, because that relationship is so important to the future of Batman and building a Batman world that they can live in. And like, you can build off this world. Like, you can give him a Robin. You can give him a a Selena Kyle relationship. You can give him, like, they hint at Robin when she says she's going to Bloodhaven. Bloodhaven is the city Robin goes to protect when he's old enough.
Okay.
Like, give him a Robin. Let's get into it. You know, I'm tired of this. You know, Chris Nolan hated Robin, and then he did that stupid Drake bullshit in Dark Knight Rises. Oh, I wanted to throw something at the end of that film. Oh, you should go by your real name, Robin.
All right.
Anyway,
okay. Yeah.
So, but like,
I can see
let's do it. You can build a Bat family through this. And
I would love to
it'll
see
work.
it. I would love to see Robin. I think that's what has been missing. Obviously, like everyone's been teasing Robin for fucking 2 decades now. The last Robin we had was Mr. freaking Chris O'Connell. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But by the way, Robin is like, I think across pretty much all voting platforms you can do on, he's been voted like a top 8 superhero all the time. Robin turns into Nightwing. People love Dick Grayson. And like in the comics, I'm talking about comics wise. Yeah. Like Robin turns into Nightwing, and Nightwing's a badass. And he's cool. And he's like the opposite of Batman. He's not dark and brooding. He's a little bit joyful, and he can, you know, he's not this, he doesn't have the terrible outlook on the world. And it's a perfect mismatch for Batman. But and it'll be perfect for this world because you get this dark brooding Batman that I think really translates well. So
no, absolutely.
Yeah, that's my sequel hopes. Court of Owls.
Let's do it.
Let's push Bruce Wayne into society again and let that be the reason. Right.
That's all I can hope for too. A sequel, just make it that we get into him more and we relate to him a little more. And then I think you may just have a run for some of the maybe a Batman Begins killer. Even I don't know if the Dark Knight will ever be broken, ever be beaten. It may not, and I'm happy that it
may not be.
That's fine to me.
That's fine, but that should be reason enough. The Dark Knight should be reason enough not to try another Joker film.
Right? Yeah,
that should 100%. Be reason enough.
I think I'm done. I'm done with Joker. I think we can do like 15 to 20 years without Joker again, and we'd be perfectly happy.
Yeah,
we're done.
Like I said with the Skywalkers, I'm done with the Skywalkers.
Yeah.
Let's see them in another 20 years when
we're done.
You know, the ancient Skywalker relative pops out of the blue and they do a new trilogy. Fine, cool. But you know what? I don't need to see it until then. And same thing goes with Joker. It'll be the more I watch The Dark Knight, the more I love that movie.
Right.
I can rewatch that movie and it's a long movie, but that's another movie that does suffer from that same little, from being a masterpiece, that little extra bit.
I don't mind it.
He stops it, and then all of a sudden he's got to go stop Harvey Dent.
I don't mind it.
It seems like it's a little. They stretched a little too much into
maybe
it.
Maybe a little bit, but you get that fucking great iconic monologue at the end, and that crescendo is just one of the best endings of almost every film. So I'm fine with that. I'm cool with that. Also, I wanted to note on that. You noted that you thought the movie was too long.
Yeah, I did.
See, here's the thing. I actually wasn't minding the movie up until the third act. Like I wasn't feeling the hours until the third act went, and then I was like, okay, agree. You could totally cut this. Like I'm done now.
I completely agree.
So to see that fucking third act, bro, it just God damn it.
I had perfectly fine times with the film, and again, I enjoyed it because the Riddler was so menacing, and because of the relationship between Batman and Gordon. And again. If my whole point is, if you're going to put that third thing in there, which clearly you had to, because again, the movie doesn't have a big crescendo piece. It really doesn't. Minus the Bat chase, and the Bat chase isn't very long, in my opinion.
No, I thought it's not.
Yeah, so
but I thought it was
I get it. It's a superhero movie. You got to, put the big crescendo piece in there. So what? So be it. So if you got to do that, no big deal. I would have just cut out some of the Selena Kyle parts. I would have cut out, unfortunately, some of the Penguin parts. It does kind of meander a little bit in that to make it just a little bit shorter. But if you want to end the movie in that interrogation scene, fuck it. And then leave it. Leave the rest of it. Because I don't mind it till then. But when we get to there, I'm just like...
I really don't.
Yeah,
I don't mind it until then.
I start getting antsy. I was like, okay,
but I'm telling you, I think it's only because of that fucking third act that you even start to see any cracks. Because up until then, I was like, I love you, Matt Reeves. I love this whole thing that you're doing. This is going to be a home run. And it ends up being a home run anyways. It's, again, you made $250 million on the first weekend. That's fucking huge. It could break $1 billion. I don't think it will, because but you know, I'd be happy if it did. Yeah, let's see it happen. I don't mind it.
Again, we got nothing coming out in theaters
for a bit. Yeah, they situated themselves really well in this calendar.
April 1st. And again, a lot of people backed out of 2022.
Morbius is the next one. Oh my God, Morbius, and that's another fucking vampire. Oh, he's not a vampire, but it's like a bat. Well, whatever.
Bat, you know, we get it. But like, you know, every studio kind of strategically positioned themselves not to eat up their profits.
Right.
And a lot of people push back films because they just didn't know. They were like, well, fuck, I don't know if everything's going to be over. So I'm not going to risk it.
Is this the end? You know, like, no.
People can't be Marvel and be like, well, fuck it, we got to release it anyway.
But dude, we need to have like a part, like Hollywood needs to have a party after all this is over to commend the entertainment we've had over a pandemic. Just the bangers that we've had and what people have had to go through. Like you wouldn't expect this level of entertainment that we've had both on streaming and in theaters and across all of entertainment, games, all this shit that has there's been some bummers, but there's been
to get you through it.
Fanatics. Yeah. I mean,
absolutely.
Come on, we had the No Way Home. It should, in and of itself, that should have gotten the Oscar nom, man. Like for Best Picture. You're gonna tell me
I hate the Oscars, but yeah, I
fucking hate the Oscars too. It's coming up, and fuck them. I mean, honestly, really. Yeah, you had 10 categories. You could do 12, and you didn't give No Way Home a spot. It made you guys a fucking bajillion dollars during a pandemic. Yeah. Go fuck yourself. Like, and I would actually I would put the Batman cinematography possibly up for an Oscar. I thought
it won't get it, but absolutely
it won't get it.
Because
but it's fucking awesome.
They have a club, and they're not going to vote for movies that people actually watch. They're going to vote for movies that are still good movies. I'm not saying things like Coda and other things aren't good movies.
No, of course not.
But nobody watches them.
You know, this movie does make a case for itself to maybe be less of a superhero movie and more, again, just as like a thriller. And they could just be like, okay, all right.
Maybe. But I think it feels like if it grosses... The last movies that I think did really, really well and got like Best Picture noms were like The Lord of the Rings.
Oh, yeah, sure.
You know?
But again, those aren't, they don't suffer from the superhero stamp. Those were straight up fantasies, and plenty of fantasies had been nominated for Oscars before that.
That's good.
So that's not surprising. It was mainstream, but you know, still it's like the same way, like, I don't know. Never mind. I don't know where I was going with that. I was gonna say like, you know, how Titanic was nominated for an Oscar, because that was just based on a true story. No, that's stupid. Never mind.
Well, Avatar got nominated, so
Avatar. Oh, that's a good one. Yeah, Avatar did get nominated. So that's true.
I mean, yeah, big year, big stuff coming up. It's gonna be great.
It's gonna be great.
Just getting started.
But man, I'm so happy the Batman turned out even half as good as it did.
Yeah, me too.
And I'm glad that we, at least both of us, were positive. Anybody should go see it for sure. Seen it in IMAX? Did you see it in IMAX, dude?
I didn't. No, I couldn't find IMAX
God,
tickets.
Dude, the place was shaking, literally shaking. I couldn't keep my heart from from shaking with it. It was awesome.
I saw it in a Cinépolis, and it did have it was Dolby. It was a Dolby Cinépolis,
yeah, okay.
So it was still.
So you were feeling it too.
The Batman, when it had the Batmobile starts and you hear the engine grow. Yeah, you felt it. And
see that was the work of the fucking sound mixing and sound engineers on this movie who just knocked it out of the park. Less even just like the systems of the theater.
Absolutely.
So that's good. That's great. I don't think anybody can have a sour time. Next time I watch this, I'm gonna bring Keisha, my fiance, and I'd be curious to see what she thinks about this film, because she just has terrible taste about superhero films. So I'd be curious what she has to say about this.
Yeah. Maybe we'll make it a segment.
We should.
Keisha's. We'll try to think of some sort of alliteration for it to make put a K on it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, I'll let you know when I go see it again. I guess you may not see this again. You don't really need to. You will maybe
wait. I mean, look, I might get a little antsy
in a theater, because I know you'll watch it again on streaming.
Yeah, absolutely. I might get a little antsy toward the end of the month,
and then maybe want to watch something.
Yeah, like maybe next. I don't know. Yeah. It's been so long since I've been able to go to a theater on a regular basis that I might just go watch it again just for shits and giggles.
Let's watch it again just so we can watch the Batmobile chase scene and have an argument about editing.
Okay, go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm right. You're wrong. It's that simple.
You fucker.
He breaks the 180 rule. It's bad editing.
It'd be really funny if I just edit. Oh, you're gonna edit this, but I took it and I edited this whole part out. That'd be so funny. Editing wars. Anyways, yeah, let's stop it there, I guess, right?
Yeah,
let's wrap it up.
Yeah.
Thanks for that, Alex.
Thank you, Ed. That was our talk on the Batman. Go see it. Not a masterpiece that a lot of people have said, but it's still a good film and it's fun. And go watch it. Watch it in theaters, as we've said. Thank you guys so much for listening, watching, liking, subscribing, all that jazz. There will be many more. We've been very absent on Instagram these past couple weeks. It's been crazy. I got engaged. Ed's been doing a lot of stuff. Oh my God,
I forgot.
Yeah.
Oh, how did I forget to mention that? This motherfucker is engaged. Oh, I should put that at the top. You need to make this the opening of the episode. This guy got engaged. He's taking people. It's over. He's chained himself for life.
Not yet. It's just engaged. It's not married. Relax. There's nothing signed anyway. Just kidding. But anyway, go watch the Edward Cullen remix of the Batman because he's awesome in it.
How dare you?
Like I said, that was my fiance's thing. That's what she said. That reminded too much of Edward Cullen. Colin. Anyway. Whatever.
We gotta talk, Olivia. That's hurt.
Thank you so much for watching, listening, all that jazz, guys. Much more Instagram stuff, more frequently and consistently coming back this week. And until next time, guys. Thank you.
Bye.